you rather marry a guy who is rich, buys you a ton of fancy shit like Birkins, brings you on dope trips, but cheats on you? Or marry a broke dude who can't buy you shit and he doesn't cheat?
The second one does not cheat.
No, he don't cheat. He loves you. Like, literally, he sends you flowers on the most random days with little teddy bears that are holding like a tiny balloon.
I'm gonna say the first guy. But here's why. And here's why. This is why the red pill community exists.
Welcome back to Male Choice, where we're cutting through the noise and getting real about the truths no one else dares to speak. Today, we're calling out the nonsense. Because it's time someone holds women accountable for their actions and the unrealistic expectations they've been pushing on men for far too long. All right, let's break this down. You're choosing the rich guy because you're hooked on the flashy lifestyle, even if it means selling out your self-worth. You're trading loyalty and genuine love for bags, trips, and temporary thrills. This is exactly why relationships crumble. You're prioritizing materialism over something real. The broke guy? He's offering you loyalty, affection, and true care, but you're too distracted by shiny objects to see his value. Keep chasing that superficial life, but don't be surprised when it leaves you empty in the end.
Is it disrespectful if your boyfriend likes other girls' bikini pictures?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Disrespectful?
Yeah. Totally disrespectful.
Okay. Do you post bikini pictures?
Oh yeah, of course.
Is that not disrespectful to him?
Wait, no.
Why is it? Why not?
No,
why?
It's not.
Why?
Listen, it's just different.
What do you mean it's different?
It's just different. I'm female and he's male, so it's different. Because I'm a woman and he's a man, so it's different.
I'm so sorry.
So, let me break this down. You think it's completely disrespectful for your boyfriend to like other girls' bikini pics, but when you're posting your own bikini photos, it's somehow not the same thing? That's a textbook case of double standards. You can't expect him to play by a different set of rules just because you're a woman. Respect is mutual. It doesn't change based on gender. If you want him to respect you and your boundaries, then you need to show the same level of respect. Stop justifying your actions with, "It's different because I'm a woman." That's not how it works. If you're going to hold someone to a standard, you'd better be ready to hold yourself to that same standard. Anything less is just hypocrisy.
How much should a guy earn for you to date him? Over 500k, close to $1 million. If he doesn't, I'm not gonna say yes. Do you hear me?
What the fuck was that?
Your mates?
What the fuck was that?
What was that nonsense, girl? You've got to be kidding me with that response. The interview wasn't asking for something superficial like your weight. They were trying to get a sense of your expectations and what you bring to the table. Let's get real here. What exactly are you offering that justifies expecting a man to make 500k a month? Are you out of touch with reality, or do you seriously think that's the minimum required to sustain your lifestyle? This kind of entitlement is beyond ridiculous. You need to take a hard look at yourself and start living in the real world. God damn, get a grip and stop living in this fantasy where you think you deserve everything without offering anything substantial in return.
I honestly really feel like you guys are spreading a terrible message. And I'm so sorry that you feel this way, because feminism is not a supremacy movement. Okay. It's a movement for equality, because women out in the world are not equal to men.
How so? How?
Pick a country.
In the West, how so?
In the West.
In the UK.
In the UK.
What rights do we not have?
Why is it that if we look at the Oxford record of when women are hired against men, women are less likely to be hired because they're more expected to have babies and take maternity leave?
That's not necessarily true.
Women are less likely to be hired than men. Let's say I'm in my early 20s and I want to get a job. They're thinking, oh, she's going to have a job and she's going to get maternity leave for a year. I'm going to pay her for a year, but she's not working. So I'm less likely to get paid than a man.
How can you say that when we have quotas that are specifically for women? Quotas. They're
same thing.
Yeah. Yes, I am. How can you? Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish?
You're talking about quotas.
Can you? No, I'm not.
You're claiming feminism is about equality. But where's the real inequality in the West? What rights do women not have? You're pushing this tired narrative that women are being held back, but let's face reality. We have quotas and initiatives specifically to support women in the workforce. If anything, men are the ones being sidelined because of these so-called equality measures. Instead of playing the victim, why not compete fairly? Stop using feminism as an excuse to demand special treatment and start acknowledging the opportunities already available to you.
Men, you should never have to say, oops, sorry, I put it in the wrong hole. First of all, there is no wrong hole.
Someone's not asking me to hang out or not texting me. I love being like, well, if they wanted to, they would. Despite the fact that I'm wanting to and I'm not. Do you ever think about that?
Listen up, whether you identify as a man or not, there's one truth you need to grasp. Making excuses is weak. It's unmanly. Real men don't sit around blaming their circumstances, history, or upbringing. None of that matters. What defines you is your ability to put in the work, to grind it out and get the job done. Life doesn't care about your background, only your results. So, stop wasting time making excuses and start taking action. Success doesn't come to those who whine about how hard life is, it comes to those who push through no matter what.
What happened to men pursuing girls?
Are we really asking this question?
When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not go after a girl anymore and put in any effort?
I don't think there was a pivotal moment. However, there's been lots of little moments that have added up to a large awakening of a lot of men in regards to whether or not it's worth it to chase women.
Seems like guys can just put the bare minimum and not even really put in effort anymore. They don't really care to.
Well, what's considered to be the bare minimum seems to change on a daily basis, so how can anyone truly know what the bare minimum even is?
They're like, why don't girls just go and make the first move and make the effort?
That's an excellent question. Indeed. Why don't they?
Did it become a thing? Now it's like role reversal where they expect girls to be making the first moves, yearning for a guy and chasing him.
I imagine that happened somewhere around the same time that a lot of women were indicating to men that they want them to leave them alone. So, in a lot of cases, they got exactly what they asked for.
That is, I feel like, the downfall of why it's so hard to meet someone, because men don't put in effort anymore and don't care to put in effort.
But why should they? When the possible benefits of pursuing a woman are often far outweighed by the risks that they undertake in pursuing those same women. It's honestly just not worth it for a lot of men to pursue women, especially when so many women want to be seen as independent and left alone.
Women need to face the glaring contradiction in their lives, expecting men to handle everything on one hand while marching in the streets waving signs about equality on the other. But here's the cold hard truth. Modern women's main weapon against men is manipulation. They've been honing this skill since their teenage years, and they'll keep using it until the day they die. They'll manipulate your feelings to get what they want because they believe they're entitled to it. They'll try to persuade you to shower them with gifts, let them see other people, move closer to their job, and whatever else they can get you to do. And the sad part? It often works on weak men. We all know what these guys are after, and they'll put up with any abuse just to get it. That's how they fall right into women's manipulative traps. Men need to steer clear of these women who will take advantage and manipulate them to satisfy their sense of entitlement. Why do modern women feel so entitled? Have you ever wondered why they expect everything to be handed to them? Even in this so-called age of equity and equality, it's like they think they have a right to certain things from men. It starts from the very first interaction. When a guy and a girl meet, it's always the man who's expected to make the first move. He's supposed to approach her, come up with some clever way to get her attention while she plays hard to get. She expects compliments, gifts, and endless attention, and the man is expected to deliver it all. The guy has to ask her out, plan the perfect date, make all the arrangements, book the reservation, and even have a nice car to pick her up and chauffeur her around. Then he's expected to pay for everything. The date, the drinks, the gifts. If he dares to ask her to split the bill, he's labelled as a cheap coward. After the date, it's the guy who's supposed to make the first move, give her the first kiss and lead in bed, while she continues to play hard to get and expects to be treated like royalty. Men are always expected to take the lead. It's just how it is. But why do women always expect everything to be done by the man? Even in long-term relationships, the man is expected to do the tough jobs around the house and provide for the whole family. Where are the woke feminists now? What happened to equality? Throughout their lives, men are supposed to do everything for women, dedicating their lives to protecting, providing, and helping them. And you know what? High-value men do this with honour. They take pride in it because it's in their nature. But why is it that women expect everything from a man, especially when all they do is talk about equality and how men have oppressed them? Modern women have become too entitled. And if you're not thinking about dating right now, I applaud you. That's one of the best decisions you could make. The idea that happy wife, happy life has ruined men. When reality hits you in the face, you've got two choices. Deal with it or cry about it. Weak men choose the latter. too afraid to impose their opinions on others, too passive to stand their ground. But the real issue is social engineering. The system is designed to keep men passive, compliant, and willing to accept less than they deserve. That's why movements like body positivity are so popular right now. A man with the same health issues as a woman wouldn't make it to the cover of a magazine. He'd be ridiculed. I'm not saying women will accept any man because I know their nature is hypergamous, but promoting promiscuity. That's not my game. The system wants you to be passive, but you need to break free from that and surround yourself with positive influences, not people who are going to drag you down.
I'm 28. I'm going to be 29 in April next year, so not that long left. Not that long left. I'm going to be 29 years old, and there is not a single soul on this planet who wants to be the love of my life. Where the f*** are you, please? Where are you? Because I am sick of this. I'm sick of the streets. I'm sick of everything. At this point, I might just, I don't know, maybe change sides. What's going on, please? Tell me. What's going on?
Imagine that. Women in their late 20s and early 30s putting their careers and education above romantic relationships. How noble, right? Fast forward to their mid-30s or early 40s, and they suddenly realise they're alone, just them, and their impressive CV. Meanwhile, the financially successful men they once overlooked are now opting for younger women, steering clear of those too wrapped up in their jobs. Who could have seen that coming? But hey, at least they've got their degrees to keep them warm at night.
What if I don't need him to take care of everything? What if I have my own too? Why should I take it?
And that's great. I'm not mad at you. Go for that. But guess what? In America and in North America in general, women are the ones who are dying alone more than ever. So we can say this stuff and say, I'm going to take it. Go ahead. No one's going to stop you from making your choices. But then also don't complain when you hit late 40s or whatever, you don't find somebody. And I'm like, listen, have you guys been settling on the shit that doesn't matter? And they say, no, I'll never settle. Yep. You know, there was a study that came out, bro. And the study said, I think it polled like 300 women, 300 men. Mm-hmm. And it asked the 300 women, if you asked the 300 men, it said, if you had 80% of what you wanted from a wife, would you take her? And you guys are like, fuck yeah, that's amazing. Ask the same question to ladies. 80% of what you wanted, they were like, I will never settle.
They're all about climbing that corporate ladder, right? Just like in most of the Western world, women are blindly following the feminist playbook, strutting around like boss babes without ever stopping to consider the role men play in their lives. Who needs men when you've got a corner office and a power suit, right? It's almost as if they think being a boss babe is the pinnacle of existence, completely overlooking the value that men bring to the table. But hey, at least they've got those boardroom meetings to keep them company.
You know what I just realized about relationships? A guy starts off by putting 100% in the beginning of a relationship. And over time, that will slowly go down from like 100 to 95 to 90 to 80 to 85. And then you notice, and you only notice when it goes down to like 75 or 80%, and then you say something. And then when you say something, he puts back 5% effort and you're content. You're like, okay, he put in some effort, but it never goes back up to 100 or 90 or 95. It just goes from like that 75 to 80. And then it goes back down again to like 70. And then it goes down to 60. Long story short, it'll just go back down to 10% when it started at 100. I'm not saying all men do this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as a woman, I feel like we invest more time and put in more effort as the relationship goes on because it becomes more and more serious. Moral of the story, if you're dating a guy and he starts off at 100% effort and you're noticing over time it's slowly going down, I just think that you deserve.
So according to this woman, women give more in relationships. Let's really unpack that, shall we? Men start out giving 100%, bending over backward to keep their woman happy. But over time, that effort starts to dip to around 60 or 70%. And why does that happen? Because she's constantly nagging him, wearing him down until he temporarily ups his game just to keep the peace. But inevitably, his effort drops off again, because no matter what he does, it's never enough. And here's the kicker. She concludes that this means women give more in the relationship over time. Really? That's why I keep hearing men complain that they're not getting any bedroom fun anymore. Meanwhile, their woman has packed on the pounds, tipping the scales at 200, and he's still out there running himself ragged, jumping through hoops every time she says, jump, trying to please her, and still coming up empty-handed. But somehow in her mind, she's the one giving more. She's the one putting in all the effort. Let's get real. These men are exhausted, drained by the constant demands, and what do they get in return? Nothing but more expectations and less appreciation. And yet, women want to claim they're the ones sacrificing more, It's almost laughable if it weren't so tragic. The truth is, these men are bending over backward, trying to please someone who's convinced herself that she's the only one doing any work. It's no wonder relationships are crumbling when one side is expected to give endlessly while the other side just takes.